My lover thought it'd be hilarious to tag my husband in a post with a picture of us together. I got home in a panic, but my husband was already gone. On the kitchen table, he'd left his wedding ring, my car keys, and a note that said, "He can drive you now." I don't even know where to start. I've read stories on here for a while, mostly late at night, and always felt lucky they weren't mine. Until now. This is my life now. And I don't recognize any of it anymore. I've been married for 14 years to a man named Ethan. We live in Cary, North Carolina. We don't have kids, but we built a quiet life together, 2 incomes, a dog, a house with a front porch and a porch swing he built himself. People would say we were solid. Ethan is the kind of man who doesn't say much but means everything he says. He's not flashy. He's not overly romantic. But he's kind, steady, smart. He remembers the little things. Like how I don't like cilantro or that I hate the sound of ticking clocks. I'm a 3rd grade teacher. I'm the talker in the marriage. The one who fills up the silences. Or used to. 2 years ago, I joined a local cycling group. It was a way to stay active, meet people, and get out of the house. I wanted something that felt like mine. Something outside of lesson plans, groceries, and dishes. That's where I met Jacob. Jacob is different. Confident. Charming. He knows how to look at people like they're the only ones in the room. He's divorced, has a daughter in college, and runs his own real estate business out of Chapel Hill. He always has a story. Always makes people laugh. At first, I thought he was just friendly. We'd talk after rides, laugh about things. Nothing inappropriate. Just fun. He made me feel seen in a way I hadn't felt in years. Not because Ethan didn't care, but because I didn't feel like I was interesting anymore. At home, it was bills, work, chores. But with Jacob, I felt like someone new. The change was slow. A little longer on the texts. Inside jokes. Nicknames. He started showing up when I didn't expect him to, bringing me a new energy drink to try, offering to fix something on my bike, recommending new trails. It was always casual, but there was something under the surface. I remember the first time I lied to Ethan. It was small. I said I was riding with the group when it was just Jacob and me. It felt wrong, but I told myself it was harmless. That I was allowed to have friends. It was never about just the cycling. Then came the Asheville trip. The group planned a weekend getaway, scenic rides, mountain views, group dinners. Ethan couldn't come. Work as usual. He said, "Have fun," and kissed me on the forehead like he always did. That trip is where everything changed. I shared a room with Jacob. I didn't even pretend to sleep on the floor. We didn't even talk about it like it was a mistake. It just happened, and neither of us stopped it. I told myself I'd come home and figure it out. Maybe talk to Ethan. Maybe end things with Jacob. But I did neither. I just kept going. Quietly splitting my life into 2. At home, I cooked dinner, folded laundry, planned lessons. Away, I answered Jacob's texts, met him in his car, went on longer rides than necessary. I thought I was balancing both. That I could handle it. That Ethan would never find out. I was wrong. 3 weeks ago, Jacob posted a photo of us on Facebook. It was from that Asheville trip, sunset behind us on the Blue Ridge Parkway. I was leaning into him. You could see it in my eyes. I wasn't hiding anything in that moment. Not from the camera. Not from him. His caption, "Best view in North Carolina." And then he tagged Ethan. He tagged my husband. I still don't understand why. Some part of me thinks he was trying to make it real. Maybe he thought I'd finally choose him. Maybe it was a mistake. Or maybe it was his ego. My phone buzzed nonstop. I saw the post. I froze. I tried to delete it, but it was too late. It had been up for over an hour. Mutual friends had seen it. My coworker saw it. My sister saw it. But more than anyone else, Ethan saw it. I called him immediately. He didn't answer. I called again. And again. Straight to voicemail. I drove home like my whole life was on fire. The front door was unlocked. That scared me more than anything. The house was quiet. Molly, our golden retriever, was gone. Her leash was missing from the hook by the door. Her food bowls, gone. No barking. No tail wag. I stepped into the kitchen and that's when I saw it. On the table, right in the middle, Ethan's wedding ring. My car keys. A folded piece of paper with a single sentence written in his handwriting, "He can drive you now." That's all it said. No yelling. No questions. No accusations. He was just gone. My knees gave out. I sat on the floor and stared at those 3 things for over an hour. I didn't cry at first. I just stared. He left with more dignity than I ever showed him. He didn't text. He didn't block me. He didn't send some dramatic message to friends or family. He just took his dog and walked away from 14 years like it was the only way he could breathe again. I called him again. Nothing. I texted, "Please talk to me." No reply. "I'm sorry." Still nothing. I didn't sleep. I sat on the couch all night, holding my phone, rereading that note over and over. The next day, I went to work like a robot. My body was there. My mind wasn't. My coworkers didn't say anything, but I could feel their eyes. I knew they knew. Word spreads fast in a small town. I called his sister. She answered but didn't say much. She just said, "He's okay. He doesn't want to talk right now. Please don't push him." That was it. I didn't hear from him for a week. Jacob tried to reach out. He texted, called, even showed up at my work parking lot once. I told him to leave me alone. I couldn't even look at him without wanting to scream. This wasn't about Jacob anymore. It was about me. About the choices I made. The lies I told. The quiet way I destroyed a man who never raised his voice to me, who never made me feel small, who showed up every day even when I didn't notice. He left because I gave him nothing left to hold on to. And now? Now I live in a house that feels empty, even though everything is still here. His coffee mug is still in the cabinet. His favorite hoodie is still hanging on the back of the chair in the den. There's an imprint where Molly's dog bed used to be. I don't sleep. I eat because I have to. I teach because I need the paycheck. Every time I pull into the driveway, I hope his car will be there. It never is. I don't know where this is going. I don't know if he'll come back. I don't know if I even deserve that. All I know is that 7 words written on a piece of paper destroyed me more than any fight ever could. He can drive you now. If you've made it this far, thank you for reading. This is not the end of the story, but it's the part where everything changed. I'll post more when I can. 2 weeks passed. I still hadn't heard from Ethan. The silence was so loud it felt like it screamed at me in every room. I stopped using the bedroom. I couldn't stand the sight of the empty space where his nightstand used to be. I slept on the couch, if you could even call it sleep. Mostly just closed my eyes and stared at the back of my eyelids. Then something unexpected happened. I got a letter in the mail. Handwritten. No return address. Just my name and our home address, written in Ethan's careful block letters. Inside was a sheet of plain white paper. "I'll be by next Friday to pick up the rest of my things. Please don't be here." No, how are you? No, let's talk. Just logistics. But there was something else in the envelope. Tucked behind the letter was a photograph. It was of us. From years ago. Asheville again, but not that trip. This was from way back when we first visited together as newlyweds. We had asked a stranger to take our photo by the river. I was laughing, Ethan had his arm around me, and we looked stupidly happy. On the back, he'd written, "I used to look at this and feel safe." That line gutted me. I cried for the first time since he left. Not quiet tears. The kind that come from your ribs and leave you breathless. He came the following Friday, just like he said he would. I made sure to leave. I drove to Jordan Lake and sat in my car for 4 hours. I didn't even look at the water. I just stared at the dashboard. When I came back, his stuff was gone. The hoodie, the coffee mug, the little toolbox in the laundry room. Even the silly singing fish plaque he got as a joke that I made him hang in the garage. It was all gone, but he left something behind. In the bathroom, taped to the mirror, was another note. "I'm not trying to punish you. I just can't stay in a place where I stopped being enough." That note hit different. Like he'd said the quiet part out loud. Then, a week later, I got a call. From a number I didn't recognize. I answered. "Hello? Is this Mrs. Holloway?" No one calls me that. Only doctors and schools. "Yes, who's this?" "This is Detective Murray with the Cary Police Department. Are you familiar with a Jacob Carrington?" My stomach flipped. "Yes, why?" "There's been a situation involving Mr. Carrington. He was found trespassing at your husband's temporary residence. He was asked to leave, but refused. There was a confrontation. No one was hurt, but Mr. Holloway has filed a report. We need to ask you a few questions." I couldn't breathe. I hadn't spoken to Jacob in weeks. He had texted a few more times after the post, but I hadn't replied. I had made it clear it was over. But now he was showing up at Ethan's? What kind of confrontation? I asked, heart pounding. He was on the property. Refused to leave. It didn't escalate beyond shouting. Your husband didn't press charges, just wanted it documented. That sounded like Ethan. Calm even when most people wouldn't be. I thanked the officer and hung up. I stared at my phone for 10 minutes before it hit me. Jacob hadn't given up. I thought I had shut the door, but apparently, he was still standing on the porch. The next day, there was a note under my windshield wiper when I came out of the grocery store. No envelope. Just a torn page from a notepad. He's not the only one who loved you. It was Jacob's handwriting. I went home and locked all the doors. I changed the locks the following day. I didn't want to call the police. I didn't want more drama. But I texted Jacob one final time. Please stop. You've done enough. This isn't love. Don't contact me again. No reply. But he got the message. At least, I hoped he did. A few more days passed and I tried to fall back into a routine. Wake up, shower, teach, go home, pretend the couch was a bed. Rinse and repeat. Then one morning, I walked into the teacher's lounge and everything changed again. Someone dropped this off for you, one of the aides said, pointing to a brown padded envelope on the table. No name. No markings. I opened it. Inside was a USB drive. No note. Nothing else. I borrowed a computer and plugged it in. There were only 2 files. One video. One audio clip. I opened the video. It was grainy, black and white, like it came from a security camera. My breath caught. It was Ethan's apartment building. The video showed Jacob pulling into the lot, walking toward Ethan's door, pacing, knocking, then yelling at someone just out of frame. The video didn't have sound. I clicked the audio file. Jacob's voice. Yelling. You think you're better than me? You think she didn't come back to me after Asheville? You want the truth, Ethan? Ask her what she told me after you left. My knees buckled. I paused it before it could go further. I didn't know what terrified me more, that Jacob had spiraled this far, or that he was trying to turn Ethan's pain into some sort of game. The USB was anonymous. But I knew who sent it. Ethan. Why? To warn me? To show me the man I had let into my life? Or maybe it was something else. Maybe it was his way of saying, this is what you chose. That night, I sat in the kitchen and stared at the space where his ring had been, where the note had sat. I thought I had lost my marriage to a mistake. But it wasn't just a mistake. It was a pattern. A slow disintegration. A choice again and again to step further away from the man who loved me and closer to someone who only ever wanted to win. Jacob wasn't in love with me. He was obsessed with the version of me that smiled on bike rides and made jokes and wore a helmet with a stupid unicorn sticker. And now that version was gone. Ethan saw that before I did. And I wasn't sure if I could ever fix it. The house didn't feel like home anymore. My own reflection looked unfamiliar. And every time I closed my eyes, I saw that photo from Asheville, both of them. The one where I was happy and the one where I was pretending. I didn't know what came next. But I knew this wasn't the bottom yet. Something else was coming. And I could feel it in my bones. 2 weeks later, I was standing in line at the coffee shop near school when I saw him. Ethan. He was at the far end of the shop, sitting by the window, typing something on his laptop. He looked tired, but focused. Still in work clothes, button-down shirt, sleeves rolled to the elbows, that same worn leather watch I gave him years ago. I froze. My heart started pounding. I wasn't ready. But I also knew I'd never be ready. I ordered my coffee and just stood there like a statue. I could have left. I could have slipped out the side door and pretended I never saw him. But instead, I walked over. He looked up as I approached. His face didn't change. Not a smile. Not a frown. Just a tired kind of calm. Hey, I said. Hi. Do you have a minute? He closed his laptop without hesitation. Sure. I sat across from him, trying to find something to say that wouldn't sound like an apology on repeat. But all I managed was, thank you, for the USB. His jaw tightened. You shouldn't have needed a USB to know who he was. I swallowed hard. I know. Do you? He asked, voice still low. Do you really? I didn't answer. Because he was right. You know what the worst part of all this was? He said, eyes locked on mine. It wasn't the lying. It wasn't even the photo. It was sitting in that apartment, listening to him talk like he owned parts of you I never even saw. I felt like someone had taken the air out of the room. I didn't go back to him, I said quietly. That doesn't matter now, he replied. You already left me before that. My hands were shaking. I never meant for it to happen. I never meant for it to go that far. Ethan looked at me for a long moment. You think this is just about a mistake. But it wasn't a single moment. It was weeks. Months. You started choosing him in all the little ways before you ever went to Asheville. And you left me in that house, thinking we were okay. I didn't have a defense. I just sat there, staring at the table. And then, out of nowhere, Jacob walked in. Like a scene out of a bad movie. He hadn't seen us yet. He was scanning the room, and the second he spotted me, he started walking toward us like nothing had happened. Ethan stood up immediately. Don't, he said to Jacob as he approached. Relax, Jacob said, smirking. Just wanted to say hi. Ethan stepped between us. You don't get to do this. Not here. Jacob's face changed. You think you still have some claim to her? Look at you, sitting here like you're the victim. I stood up, heart racing. Jacob, stop. No, he said, louder now. You don't get to shut me out. You were mine after he left. You told me you felt something real. People around us started turning to look. Ethan didn't move. She made her choice. Jacob scoffed. She used me. She played us both. And that's when it broke. I used you. I snapped. You followed me. You showed up at Ethan's place like some unhinged child. You left notes on my car. That's not love. That's control. He stepped back, clearly not expecting that. I never chose you, Jacob. Not really. I was running from something in my marriage and you were easy. You were attention. You were a distraction from my guilt. Jacob stared at me like he didn't recognize who I was. People were definitely watching now. The barista had stopped steaming milk. Ethan stepped back, gave me space, but his eyes never left me. You should leave, I said to Jacob. He looked at both of us, then turned and walked out without another word. The door shut behind him. Ethan sat back down slowly. So that's done. I nodded. My coffee had gone cold. I'm sorry, I said again, not even knowing if it mattered anymore. He looked tired. I know. But being sorry isn't the same as undoing it. I know. I loved you, he said softly. So much that I didn't see it happening. I thought we were just in a rut. That it would pass. But I didn't see that you had already left, just without packing. I felt tears sting my eyes, but I didn't wipe them away. I miss our life, I whispered. He looked away. I missed the version of you that loved me. We sat in silence. A few minutes later, he stood. Take care of yourself. He didn't hug me. Didn't touch me. Just walked out. I sat there long after he left. A few people whispered. Someone asked if I was okay. I nodded. I was physically fine. But inside? I was gutted. Back at home, the silence returned. But now it felt different. Like a silence I had earned. People at school had heard. My closest coworker, Mrs. Baines, came by my room the next day and gently asked if I wanted to talk. I shook my head. She didn't push. But at lunch, she sat beside me anyway. You know, she said, we all mess up. Some worse than others. But what matters is what you do after the dust settles. I nodded, but I didn't speak. Because the truth is, I didn't know what came next. Ethan didn't block me. He didn't erase me from the world. But I could feel that he had set me down emotionally and walked away. He had chosen peace over pain. And I respected that. Jacob disappeared after that day. No more texts. No more notes. I didn't ask where he went. I didn't want to know. In the months that followed, I started going to therapy. I began writing again, just little journal entries about the days I used to take for granted. One day, I saw Molly in a park with Ethan. I didn't go up to them. I just watched from across the walking trail. She looked happy. He looked okay. And I realized something important. Sometimes the person you break doesn't hate you. They just stop choosing you. I don't know if I'll ever find a love like Ethan's again. I don't know if I deserve to. But I do know that I'll never love carelessly again. I'll never treat quiet love like it's less important than loud attention. I'll never assume that someone will keep holding on just because they always have. That version of me is gone. And maybe, just maybe, the next version will know how to stay.